Well, good morning, chat. Morning, kids. How is everybody doing? I hope everyone's doing okay. Um, I have my coffee. I hope you have your coffee as well. I already see some activity in the chat here, and I haven't even started. What's going on? Hi, okay, it's just miscellaneous chat that's happening. Great. Okay, so hello, everybody. I want to say hello to everybody on the various platforms that I'm streaming on. Before I do that, welcome to another episode of the Abyss AM edition. I'm your host, of course, the Eternal Abyss. Today is a little special. I don't know what is going on with my tip jar. There's stuff spazzing in there. What is going on? Oh my gosh, you got things spinning and things jumping all over the place. I don't know what's going on. But hello to everybody on all the various platforms that I'm on. I want to say hello to everybody on D Live, on Periscope, on Twitch, on YouTube, and of course I want to say hello to everybody on Bitwave. So today is 9/11. It's the 19th anniversary of the terror attack on U.S. soil, falling of the Twin Towers. And I want to do a couple things. I want to try and just do an episode now that's more going to honor those that fell, going to honor the first responders. I don't really want to get into a political discussion and soapboxing as I usually do. I know that's kind of the charm of my show, is my ranting and raving over politics. But I think today I'd rather really not get into it, or at least get into it just minimally about maybe some minor things. Oh, I will enjoy our coffees together. I usually enjoy the coffee on stream with all of you guys, Illustrator, and welcome to the stream, by the way, Illustrator. Thanks for watching. Um, the first thing I want to do is just a moment of silence. Uh, Not that I haven't had dead air on my show before, but at least this is a dead air that would be purposeful. It would have a purpose. It would be to honor those fallen for 9/11. Go ahead, chill wave, get your coffee. Um, so um, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do a moment of silence for like 30 seconds, and 30 seconds or so, something like that. Um, and we're gonna start that in just a moment here. I'm gonna take a quick sip of my coffee before we start. Okay. So as I said, we're going to do a moment of silence here to honor those that fell, uh, that were the victims of terror, and those that fell at the time at the time of the attacks, in the sense of like first responders, police, firemen, um, ambulances, all those people that were exposed to all the toxins and everything that came from the collapse of the buildings, that even though they may have not fallen and been affected by it at that time, uh, they were the victims of it nonetheless later on. So we're going to do a moment of silence right now, starting right now. Okay. Um, as I mentioned, I'm not planning on being very ranting and raving as I usually do. I want to be a bit more reverent on this day. I want to not be affected by trolls. Um, this is a day, it's pretty historic, not only in the sense of what happened. It's historic also in the sense that there's not a lot of days in American history that all Americans can come together and agree that this is something that needs to be remembered. It's something that needs to be honored. And in that spirit, I really don't want to like respond to certain things that I'm seeing on Twitter, for example, and looking at some of the trends or seeing, some of the stuff that, like, replying to what politicians have said. Certain politicians have said about the downplaying of this sort of thing. This sort of thing to me, no, Illustrator. I'd rather not. I'd rather not get into that as well, because that's what I mean. It's gonna be used. It's gonna be used to inflame people on all sides, and I'm not gonna participate in that. I don't want. I don't want to talk about what certain politicians have said. In fact, I'm not even gonna say their names. I'm not gonna talk about certain trends that I'm seeing on Twitter. That are designed specifically to inflame and to troll. I'm not gonna talk about that. Um, Instead, I want to. Hey, overhead. Thanks for watching the stream. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Um, Instead, as I mentioned, I want to kind of recount my feelings about that. Um, about what happened. I'm not gonna talk about anything today. Hope you enjoyed the show. No, no. I do want to talk just a little bit about my feelings about what happened, some of the good that has come out of this. Believe it or not, there has been some good that has come out of such a tragedy. Oddly enough, and I also just want to kind of honor those that fell, honor America as a country, honor Americans, and that's really what my intentions are today. Like I don't really plan on talking about stuff that's in the news. I can resume that on Monday. No problem. I always have plenty of material that I can talk about. So if I skip a day per se, it won't be a big deal. But first of all, I can't believe it's 19 years already. It's been 19 years. This is the 19th anniversary. And it amazes me. Makes me definitely feel like a boomer, that's for sure. But it was interesting because this happened in my university days. And I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I don't want to dox too much about myself. But I do just want to say that it was surreal. Some haven't learned, Illustrator. Some haven't learned. Some have wised up, and that's one of the positive things actually that I wanted to talk about. But going back to what I was saying, it was a surreal experience. I'm sure it was harrowing and frightening and insane. It must have been. It must have seemed like the end times for people in Manhattan, in New York, uh, in that area when this was happening. I was not in that area. Uh, because as I mentioned, I was in my university days. I hadn't done as much moving and traveling and working and all that kind of stuff yet. And when I first heard about this thing was brought to my attention, I didn't have any class that day. I was sleeping in, you know. I was like, I don't need to get up. So I was just soaking it in that I didn't have class that day. Family members barge in telling me we're under attack, we're under attack. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We're under attack, you know. So I go to the TV and I see like all the pandemonium that's happening. And then you see the second plane fly into the tower. And at first I thought, well, it's just got to be an accident, like most people. Because it isn't the first time in New York that a plane has hit a building. In I think 1920 or 1916, there was one small plane that flew into a building, and it was just purely accidental. Um, so when I first heard about this, I was under the impression, oh, this must have been just some freak, crazy accident that happened, you know. But then when the second tower hit, and more news items were coming in of the other planes, it was pretty damn clear what was going on. It was pretty damn clear that we were under attack. That this was a terrorist attack by Islamic extremists, and it was for many eye opening. Because in the past, when it comes to terrorism, you know, the United States has been subject to this many a time. Not so much on U.S. soil directly, not something of this caliber. So it was quite eye-opening how complacent we have become as a country. Oh, I'm sure. And it wasn't only in New York City. In chat, they're saying that the climate in New York City the following years were very generous. People were kind, held doors, gave up seats, moved aside on the sidewalk. Yeah, I don't. I I'm not surprised at all, and it wasn't unique to New York. You know, for those that experienced this outside of New York, we all became Americans when that happened. And I don't mean that we're not all Americans now, but I mean we all became like one, a single consciousness, essentially. We were all brothers and sisters. We were all patriots. As we all mourned, not mourned the loss of 3,000 lives, and we're trying to process this. We were all on this journey together, and we all felt that swell of patriotism and wanted like a parent wanting to defend their child, seeing their child attacked and wanting to do something about it in any form. Some volunteered, some enrolled because they wanted to go and fight these enemies one-on-one. Others instead did work on U.S. soil. Well, I'm talking about afterwards, Illustrator. I mean, there was a period of shock, of course, where everybody just was trying to process this. But there was a period, a swell of pride in the United States. It was kind of like when you look when you read about World War II and you read about major crises that the United States has faced, where everybody has pretty much come together. And even though we may not agree on everything, even though we may be incredibly divided, when it comes to certain things, Americans have this uncanny ability to come together and to varying degrees have that patriotic swell in their hearts and their soul. Like I talk about politics a lot. I'm proud to be American. I'm blessed, I feel, to be American. I think it's a wonderful privilege to have been born in this country and have it the American citizenship. And of course, I've been, I've said the Pledge of Allegiance, and I was taught to, respect the flag and all that kind of stuff. But I never knew, like, people talked about being like a diehard patriot, dying for your country. And even myself, honestly, I've never been one of those guys that walk around waving the American flag, singing "God Bless America." And I'm not saying that I'm not patriotic. I just never. I'm not the kind of person that expresses it outwardly. I'm much more reserved in my expression of it, but that was one of those times that even myself, I was like, you know what, I'm almost willing to enroll myself. I'm almost willing to start buying all sorts of flags, and I wanted to express that. We'll put a boot in your ass. That's the American way. Yeah, a little bit for certain things, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that in certain ways, in certain situations. And you're right, Illustrated. It is unfortunate that it takes nothing less than a perceived end of the world for such a thing to occur. That's true. It is sad that's what caused it, but it's still a positive thing that those emotions were there. That feeling and love for this country and for its people is there, which is what I wanted to get at. No matter what the divisions are, no matter what the backgrounds are, cultures and politics, that was something that we all got together on. So to me, I was devastated to see what had happened in New York, but at the same time, I was very proud of how Americans, for at least a brief period of time, put everything aside, put all their politics aside. At least just about all of it, most Americans. I can't say all because, I'm sure there were a few that celebrated, unfortunately. But the vast majority of Americans really came together during that time. And it is unfortunate that was a circumstance that brought Americans together. It would be much better for Americans to come together in times of joy instead of times of sorrow. But this changed the world. I don't think so, Illustrator. I don't know. Point being, to me, it's a bittersweet anniversary for that reason, because I think about that and I think about how terrible it was, and at the same time, it really showcased the love that Americans have for their country. It showcased the that American spirit that you saw like in World War II, and you saw in major conflicts in the Revolution, in the Civil War, things of that nature. You saw that American spirit, that manifest destiny of taking life by the reins and saying, you know what, we're not going to be pulled down by this. We're going to be better because of it. We're going to rebuild. We're going to be stronger. It's unfortunate that some people played politics with it. It's unfortunate that conspiracy theories have come about from it. It's unfortunate that um, people use that for their own nefarious deeds, like spying on Americans and things like that without warrants, and going insane with monitoring and security when it comes to like airport travel and things of that nature. And the whole that whole Prism project that that ended up being unlawful monitoring of American citizens. So there's unfortunate things that happen because of this, and there are fortunate things that happen because of this. And I'd like to think, I like to think that overall, it's good to remember this. It's good to honor those that fell. It's good to stay vigilant and have this as a reminder that there are people out there that want to still harm not just America. There are people out there that want to harm Americans and its people. And it's unfortunate that it's not only foreign. It's also domestic. And like I said, I'm not gonna go into political ravings and rants. I'm not gonna talk about specific groups, specific parties, or whatever. Yeah, that Toby Keith song is pretty cool. Um, the new World Trade Center there, the new towers. Yeah, the design is interesting. I don't dislike it per se. I'm not sure if that's exactly the final design that I would have gone with. But to me, just the fact that we've rebuilt it, the fact that we've come back from such a devastating attack, it shows a lot when it comes to that. Like I was saying, that American spirit. Yeah, I believe I do like the idea of rebuilding it as it was. I didn't understand why they didn't want to do it that way. Or at least if you rebuild it as it was, you could change the exterior a little bit. You could update it. You could do something different. But same. We could have still had twin towers. I that is something that I don't quite understand why they didn't do that. But at the same time, I kind of understand the idea of why they wanted to do something different, because where those buildings stood, it became a memorial. It became kind of like hallowed ground, so you don't want to build on top of it again. In a sense, so I kind of understand the idea and the yeah, and that's what I mean. I think because they wanted to do the memorial, they wanted to do things a little bit different. I think that's why they changed the design and they did it differently. Like I said, I still like the idea of them rebuilding it as it was. If not, just maybe changing the aesthetics a little bit. But you could have still had the twin towers back. I don't think it was undoable. That may have played into it too. Illustrator could have been a money issue as well. I've seen the memorial. It is beautiful. I have seen the memorial. It's tasteful. I think it's a nice gesture. But then there's the argument. Someone could argue, well, rebuilding it as it was, and it can be a memorial in itself and a testimonial itself to our resilience and to those that fell. I was put there without a gasp. Uh, no, I mean I've been there, and it's generally peaceful. And that's a good point. Five VUT. Um, I think that that's also a consideration that you have to have a pragmatic decision to make at the end of the day too. If you build something exactly like the Twin Towers that were subjected to such a trauma, after 19 years, Illustrator, there's not going to be much of that anymore. Maybe a year after, I can agree with you, but at this point, I mean, for the longest time, there was just a giant crater there. And I remember visiting that site when it was just a crater, when it was just a hole. Yeah, because they ran into the building after it collapsed. And they were all right there, inhaling all the materials of the building that had collapsed. Absolutely. That's why people got sick and died. Get yourself tested. Um, Now, I think that nowadays it's relatively safe to walk around there because you wouldn't have those particular particulates really floating around anymore at this point. At this point, the any particulates of that kind that are still existent, if there are, have probably been scattered throughout the globe with all the weather patterns that we have. So, oh, absolutely. That's why, in my moment of silence, I wasn't only talking about the people that fell, that died during the attack. I was also honoring all those that have died years later because of the all the materials that they breathed in that caused them cancer and things of that nature. So for sure that has an effect, and for sure, when it just happened, there's a lot of considerations about that, and I'm sure there's a lot of mixed feelings about that. Like me, I feel that the going back into the Twin Towers, I would have felt proud. Actually, I don't think it would have felt weird for me personally because it's like, you know what, you tried to take this down, we brought it back in your face. That sort of deal. I understand personal feelings that people may have felt about going into the towers after seeing such an attack and experiencing it almost firsthand, by being around that area at the time. I understand the trauma, and I understand that not everybody would feel that way. But I do think this is the one thing that I wish they would have done when they would have rebuilt the towers. I do wish that they would have. I don't recall if they did this. Maybe I'm remembering wrong actually. Before I say my comment, because if they did this, then maybe I'm wrong, and I just am not aware that this was a decision-making process. I don't think they polled all New Yorkers on this one. I don't think that they put it to like a vote, like an impromptu vote that say, "Hey, all New Yorkers and maybe even all Americans," because New York is basically almost like the capital of the United States in the sense. But it would have been interesting to have input from New Yorkers and say, you know what, do you guys want us to rebuild the towers as it is, or not. I remember there was a lot of debate on it on the news, but I don't recall anybody really. I don't recall anybody really allowing a voice of the people essentially saying this is what we want. It was just pundits expressing their opinions. So I understand that some people like the new design. I understand some people would have wanted the Twin Towers to just be rebuilt as they were. I'm kind of well, it's an attack on America, exactly. And that's what I mean. It's more of an America thing than just a New York thing. And but you also have to take into consideration the fact that these people had to work there. And whatever Americans think about it, these people were there, they experienced that trauma, and I understand how it can be weird for people to go back in these buildings, in these skyscrapers. I imagine any skyscraper, post 9/11, when this happened, I bet people were freaked out about going into any tall building at that point for a while because they're like, holy crap, this could happen to any skyscraper. Why not? So that's what I mean about I understand how people can feel about that, the anxiousness about that. Oh, they did hold hearings about it. Okay. See, I wasn't quite aware of that because I don't recall them ever reporting all that. I remember that there was just some discussions. I remember there was design proposals and things like that, and I remember that people just talked. But I don't remember that people ever really had like a vote on it, on the final decision. That's where I don't recall hearing anything about that. But I guess it's good that they actually even had hearings. I wasn't aware of that they had these hearings on it. So at least some people were able to express their opinion about it. So yeah, that's very very interesting. I wasn't quite aware of that. And I wish, nowadays when it comes to political discourse that we have, those kind of divisions that we have in this country, I do hope that people think about this today and think about how we all came together, how we all viewed this as an attack on not only America, but the idea of America. This wasn't just a physical attack. This was an attack on our spirit as well as a country. And I think that I think that most people would agree that this is something that was horrible. Most people would agree that this is something um, that you shouldn't use for political purposes. But it's unfortunate that some people do. So that's really all I wanted to say and talk about today. Uh, so I didn't plan on making this a very long episode today because, as I mentioned, I don't plan on talking about politics or anything like that or the news. Uh, but I do want to go out here and end the stream in a kind of patriotic flair. So let's see if I don't boomer this up first of all. Let's see. Bear with me here, because, you know, knowing me, I can boomer things up pretty bad. Say what? I'm gonna get copyright. I'm gonna get a copyright thing from YouTube if I do that. I would love to, and I'm probably gonna get a copyright strike for what I'm gonna do now. Not strike, but a claim to what I'm gonna do now. Even though it'd be silly for YouTube to do this, but I wouldn't put it past them. So let's see here.
There is a huge fundraising deadline coming up for Senate Democrats.
Hold on. Ah. I didn't want that to play at all. I just wanted to check something out to make sure that that's what I wanted to play in the first place. Play it on a kazoo. Yeah, you know, I remember seeing that trailer. Actually, that was a good trailer. I understand why they changed the whole thing then, and not played that I do, but it was a good trailer. Actually, it was really cool. They really did a good job with that. I have to say. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. This stuff is never easy to, like, just... I should just set this all up way beforehand, frankly. Okay. Um... I don't know the song, like, by heart. I can't hum it or I can't sing it. And I don't wanna, I don't wanna, like, make people's ears bleed on this sort of day. I really don't want to do that. But one thing that I do want to do is play the national anthem in honor of those Americans and in honor of America, in honor of our resilience. I don't want to do the... Listen, maybe I could do that, actually, as an outro. I can do a karaoke version of that. I won't sing it, but it'll play the instrumental version. Let me look for it right now. But in the meantime, enjoy this, okay? And if you want to stand and put your hand over your hearts and sing with it, I invite you all to do so. Because why not? What did we do before 1814? That was written by Francis Key Scott in 1814. That's such a beautiful national anthem. I'm biased, I know, but I always love that as a national anthem. I always thought it was beautiful. Francis Scott Key. He was quite verbose. That is true, Illustrator. All right, guys. We're gonna end this here. I'm like I said, I didn't plan on making this a very big stream today, and we will do a bit of a kicking outro here. So I am going to get this all set up here. Give me 1 second here. All right, I believe this is ready. Let's see. I gotta do one thing here first. Uh, Hold up. Let me just type something real quick. Sorry for the dead air. I just want to make sure I get this right, because nothing's worse than just boomerang everything up here. Because Lord knows I will. Actually, there is one more thing I can do. Let me see if I can find this. Because I know I had this, and I think it would be quite apropos to use this at one point sooner or later here. Let me see. Could have sworn I had a video loop that was like really good for this sort of thing. What is this doing? Nope, I don't think that's it. Hold on. Gotta find the right folder. High production, kids. As I've said, super duper high production values. Hold on, maybe it's in here. Maybe not. Where the hell did I put that? Wait. I hate it when I can't find my files. You're guessing 9/11 came up as a surprise this year? No, it's not that. It's just that I hadn't really thought about playing this. I didn't think about Toby Keith's song. I didn't think about I had gotten this one loop that I'm thinking. This is what I'm talking about. It's this video loop that I wanted to put as a background instead of my usual just morning thing. I thought about it just now because it was something that I had prepared for Independence Day, actually. And I don't remember where I put that file. That's the problem. Oh boy. I don't think I deleted it, did I? You know what? Forget it. It's not fine. It's not important. It doesn't have to have that video loop that I was thinking of. But tell you what, we're gonna end the stream now. I want to thank everybody for watching. I'm not even gonna self-promote myself because that's not the point of this video. That's not the point of this stream this time. My whole point was just to do a stream honoring the fallen, the stream honoring first responders. Yeah, better luck next year. Yes, it does. I just wanted to have the right background for it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to have the right that video that I wanted to put on. The important thing that is that we all shared this moment together, and it's important. I feel that we had that moment of silence, that we honor those that have fallen, the victims and the first responders and everybody. Hold up, I just want to see also what's going on in my other chat real quick. Oh, really? There's something going on with DLive? I don't know. That's weird. Everything looks okay on my end. Let me just check out something super duper quick. Nah, says I'm online. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know what to tell you. But alright, kids. Thanks for watching. We salute all the police, firemen, and first responders to what happened in 9/11. For those that have gotten sick and have passed away because of it, we salute all the victims. And this is also a salute to all Americans and our resilience, in our spirit, in our never say die spirit, and you know, our patriotism, and to everybody that loves this country, that truly loves this country and don't want to harm it, but want to lift it. So thanks for watching. Remember, kids, don't be complacent, and God bless America.